Hello, survivors. Welcome back to the channel. I had a thought that maybe one of the most useful things that I could share would be an actual exercise on how to kind of use the narcissist as a mirror, since that's what they do to their audience, to the codependent. They use the people around them as a mirror to mirror themselves back to themselves. And I was thinking how useful that, since the narcissist benefits from that, why can't the codependent or their target benefit from that as well? So I wanted to give a couple concrete exercises that I think will allow you to benefit from the same things that the narcissist does, but perhaps towards establishing more health, more sanity, more clarity, sort of like get out of the situation instead of to propagate it. So the question I'm asking first is, how can you use the narcissist as a mirror? Now, this is asking for some real in-depth reflection, no pun intended. But I think that one of the things that narcissists do and that codependents do that is equally unhealthy and equally destructive, I'll even use that word, is that they use the other person as a canvas to project all this stuff onto. So the narcissist always sees the problem as out there, over there, in that person. I'm going to blame them. I'm going to punish them. All of that to get relief from feeling like a victim. The codependent, either does that with the narcissist and saying they're so great, they're so wonderful, they're all these things, they're all this idealized stuff, or if they're noticing and discovering all the abusive, bad behavior, they'll go into the role of, look at them, look at how they're punishing me, look at how they're abusing me, look at how they're neglecting me, look at them, look at them, look at them, look at them. And what I'm going to offer is an exercise on how can I stop looking at them and how wrong they are and how bad they are, and look at all the things they're doing and look at all the ways that they're being abusive, and instead say, how can I use this narcissist as a mirror? What is it that I'm seeing over there that they're doing, that I'm accusing them of, trying to hold them accountable to, all of that, that I can see reflecting back to me and my behavior? So, for example, how is it if I'm being betrayed by them, if they're going out and cheating, how is it that I can use their behavior as a mirror to myself and say, how am I betraying myself in this relationship? If they are, and this is not easy to do, excuse me, this requires some maturity, this requires responsibility, accountability. If the narcissist is not being accountable, they're going and doing anything that they want, they're not, being accountable to their actions, use that narcissist as a mirror and saying, how is it that I'm not being accountable to myself? If they are lying to you, how am I lying to myself by remaining in this relationship, or participating in this, or directing all this attention outward instead of inward? If they are abandoning you, how am I abandoning myself? Use that narcissist as a mirror. This is a very good exercise. How is it that if they're abusing me, how am I abusing myself? Whatever your complaint is with the narcissist, they're always trying to put me down. How am I putting down myself? How am I not showing up for myself? How am I not being accountable to myself? How am I betraying myself? Whatever it is that you're seeing the narcissist's abusive, predatory, blaming, punishing actions as, hold that up as a mirror and ask the question, how am I doing that to myself? That's a very good exercise. And if you can get through even just a little bit of reflection on that, it's useful. It's helpful, because when you stop abandoning yourself, when you stop lying to yourself, when you stop abusing yourself, when you stop allowing any poor treatment, you immediately strip the narcissist of all their power. Because when you start saying, I'm going to engage in self-love, when you flip it around, here's part 2 of the exercise that you might want to consider is, what do I want from the narcissist? It could just be attention, consideration, love, care, affection, any of that. See if you can give that to yourself instead of wanting it from the narcissist. Because again, you're taking responsibility, being accountable, instead of saying, oh, they're not doing this. Oh, I need this from them, but they're not doing it. That's giving away your power. It's giving away it's putting you in a childlike state. It's saying, I need this from this, surrogate parent over here, this person that I'm projecting all this stuff onto, and I'm needing this reflection back. See if you can just fulfill that for yourself. Go do something nice for yourself. Go, maybe even write down a list of stuff that you enjoy. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's going to see a show, spending time with your friends. Maybe it's going out in nature, going for a walk on the beach or the mountains or whatever the closest natural landscape is. Maybe it's, writing a piece of music or writing a poem, or maybe it's reading a book that you like. Maybe it's exercising. Whatever brings you happiness and joy, spend some time doing that. For me, when I was really in the depths of working out some long addiction patterns that I had to a certain person who I later realized through therapy that I was using as like a surrogate for my mom, because they were very much like my mom in their behavior. And I had a long-standing obsession with this person. When I was accepting the fact that I was going to let go of this person or let go of my attachment to them, I had to go do something else that really fulfilled me, and it felt very difficult. I actually I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I went and took an Ikebana flower arranging class, and it seemed like in some ways, most difficult thing to go do something that just got my mind off of this person, and it just seemed almost pointless. But just by going and doing this motion, I gave myself that time period to just be clear of thoughts from that person. I could think about them, obsess about them all the time I wanted to, any other time of day. But during that class, I made a promise to myself that I was not going to think about this person. I was just going to focus on the flowers and the piece. For those of you who don't know Ikebana, it's Japanese flower arranging. And it seemed so challenging and so difficult. And it seemed like I was dragging myself to that class, forcibly, but I did it. And it ended up being like sort of the first little key and the first ticket out. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in this video about diverting our attention, like we divert water from a stream. It became the first little trickle away from that massive torrent of attention and thought. And it started just to divert the stream. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But just to get back to the point is, ask yourself, what do I want from this narcissist? What am I dying for? What am I so hungry for? And is there a way that I can instead give that to myself? Can I give myself a little self-love? Can I give myself a little recognition? Can I give myself a little care? Can I give myself a little time, attention, loyalty, all those things? Whatever is missing over in that narcissist that you are desperately trying to get from them, can you instead stop and give that to yourself instead? Or go get that, like, by hanging out with someone else who is willing to give that to you. So that's the first. Actually, that's the second question. First is, how can you use the narcissist as a mirror? That's first exercise. How can you use them as a mirror to identify in what ways am I abandoning myself, and in what ways is their behavior triggering something, and in what ways am I doing that to myself? That's number one. Number two is, what can I do action-wise, since you've used this reflection of the mirror to identify what's lacking, what's missing, what you're doing to yourself that may be propagating a problem, causing you to feel more empty, draining yourself. And then what can you do? What can you take action to fill that up a little bit? What can you do to, put some deposits in your emotional bank account? instead of saying, narcissist, you owe me, you owe me, you owe me, you owe me. What can you say to like, no, I'm going to spend these 10 minutes, this 15 minutes, whatever time, doing something nice for myself. Maybe even put it on the calendar once a week or twice a week or daily, 5 minutes a day. And so that leads me into the next exercise. But exercise 2 is saying, what action can I take? Having identified with the exercise 1 of what is the narcissist reflecting back to me that is missing. Exercise 2 is, what action can I take to fill that up a little bit? Self-care, self-love, self-loyalty, do a positive thing in the area that appears to be lacking, that you identify from using the narcissist as a mirror. And then number 3, the third exercise, I'm going to call diverting the stream. So if you think of like a river or a stream that's charging and that's gushing and that's like all going in one direction, you can think of this as the attention that you put on the narcissist, that again is outside of yourself, away from yourself. It's attention that you are creating and nurturing that's going all towards them. And you've probably developed this over time. It's probably gotten larger and larger and taking up more and more of a percentage of your attention. If you even go back to thinking about what your attention was on before being with the narcissist, were you giving it all away to something else? Just notice. And then over time, a large part of your attention has been put towards the narcissist. So I'm going to suggest the possibility of maybe just sending a tiny rivulet of your attention, time, energy, focus off in a different direction. If you think of a stream that parts around a rock, or even just like, if a piece of the riverbank becomes lower and a little rivulet goes off of that stream, I want to encourage you to develop that and nurture that, because that is really a direction towards healing. So if you can take 5 minutes a day, 5, and even if you think about the narcissist from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep, or just notice, maybe put down in a journal, how much of my time is spent thinking about this narcissist. Percentage-wise, if you could think about how much percentage of your day is spent on thinking about them, what they do, what they don't do, what they've done to you, all of that. See if you can just fraction off a tiny rivulet of attention, of focus, of thoughts, of energy, often to yourself, what you can do for yourself, what you enjoy, how you can maybe receive, instead of like giving all of this away in anger, resentment, disappointment, abandonment, all the feelings that may be coming up for you from the narcissist, control, and worrying about what they're doing and worrying about, what are they doing with the new supply, any of that. See if you can focus on what might bring me joy, what might bring me happiness, what might I be able to do for myself, what might I be able to receive, what might I be able to nurture in myself. These are all questions you can ask for just 5 minutes at a time during the day. You can even set a time, like at 2:00, I'm going to think about what brings me joy. I'm going to think about something nice I can do for myself. I'm going to think about even, music I want to write, whatever it is that is just a little bit of relief. And it's going to feel like work at first. It will, just to divert that little bit of water, of your consciousness and your attention and your stream. I'll call it stream of consciousness. It's not really quite that, but it sort of is the stream of consciousness. Divert a little bit towards watering this new garden that you're going to be developing. It's a little tiny plant. You're just going to feed a little bit of water towards that. Just think of it as, just name it as like joy, or name it as self-love, self-care, whatever it is. Just imagine, visualize that watering that new little plant, that new little garden, and see if you can do it for 5 minutes a day. If you find that, your attention's drifting off again to that narcissist, see if you can just work on diverting that and nurture something. Nurture, maybe it's writing. Maybe it's an exercise routine. Maybe it's spending time with a new friend. Maybe it is, I mean, the possibilities there are really, really endless. And maybe it's even just in thought first before action. But I want you to use that image of the stream of consciousness and how all of it may be like a charging river towards the narcissist. See if you can divert 5% away. Little tiny streams trickling away. And then over time, see if you can divert more of your attention into that area, and things will begin to develop. Pretty soon, you start noticing this flourishing little garden happening because you're diverting more of your attention there. See if you can start with 5%. Do that for a week. 5%. Then see if you can increase it, just like you would do with an exercise routine. First, you're going to do this many laps, this many minutes, this many, this much training, and then increase that. So you're developing the muscle of what you're focusing your attention on. And again, you may want to even just keep a journal just to notice. Today, I spent 90% of my day thinking about the narcissist. I was able to think 10% about cooking a nice meal for myself, taking a bubble bath, going for a walk with a friend, going into nature, whatever it is. And just notice. Maybe then it's 85-15%. Just notice, just take note. It's another exercise. Take note and observe what it is that you're observing. Observe what you're spending your precious conscious time, your stream of consciousness on. What are you watering? What garden are you watering? Is it just a continual outflow, like a sewage pipe towards that narcissist? Is that what you want your attention consciousness to be? Or is it watering a garden? Is it nurturing something, new relationship, a creative pursuit, a business ambition, a new place to live? Whatever would improve your emotional state, bring you joy. What's the gift you can give to yourself? So those are my concrete exercises that I'm hopeful can help you embrace your time, your attention, your emotion, your ability and responsibility and accountability to yourself, to love yourself, and notice and start taking ownership of what it is you focus your attention on and what you create, rather than saying, I give all of this to you, narcissist, to hold and be in control of, and I want you to manage it for me. That's not an empowered position. That's a childlike position. That can be a very victimizing position if it's in the hands of the wrong manager. So instead of looking for the parent in the narcissist that you had always wanted and wanting them to caretake and hold it responsibly, your heart, your attention, your love, your compassion, your all of that, take ownership of it for yourself. Be an adult self-champion. You have so much ability, and even if it's just 5% at a time, nurture it. It will grow. Strengthen it like a muscle. Divert it like a stream, that eventually it becomes easier. Both water and electricity flow in the path of least resistance. So as you start eroding the resistance for it to go in that direction, it becomes easier for more water to go in that direction. So it's just a practice. It's just a development. It's just an exercise, literally. So try those out. See if it helps for you. I'm hopeful, and I am optimistic that it will. Thanks so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay sane.